Good morning, everyone. Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Kingsley, and I'm presenting the Q concept analysis for this week. I'm not here by myself. I'm supported by the senior analyst in the house, Mr. Darego, Mr. Mike, Mr. Apan, your regular presenter, and our other able analysts and students who are here to support us. So we've analyzed a few pairs for you guys, and we'll share our thoughts with you in the next few minutes. And we're going to begin analysis with the GBP JPY. Okay, and you guys know how we normally trade. We start off from a higher time frame so that we'll get a better picture of what the market is doing at the moment. And looking at the GBP JPY from the monthly, you can see that this pair has been buying for the past 4 months. You can see those 4 blue candles, and we have our popular MA line crossing. The 10 and 20 has crossed upwards, giving a strong buy signal. Okay, but if you look at this pair closely, you see that the pair is hitting some form of resistance at that 146.700 level. There seems to be like a resistant line on that point. Okay, but overall we are very bullish on this pair. This looks like a good uptrend that is forming. If we step down to the weekly time frame, we'll see what is happening. You see that this pair has been respecting the 10 MA as a dynamic support for the past 3-4 weeks now. Okay, and yesterday the pair closed bullish, and you can see it here. And today another bullish candle has been forming. We are looking at the daily time frame, but we are beginning to observe some form of retracement. Okay, you can see a retracement forming, but our analysis tells us that this pair is going to buy for some time. So you can't just enter for a buy just because the whole indication is pointing buy. We are going to look for a good entry. So stepping down to the 4-hourly time frame, we are going to look for a bullish close. Right now you can see that we've seen 2 bearish candles forming, but we should not be deceived. This could be the beginning of a pullback, of which you can pull back as far as the 10 or even the 20, which will be over 130 pips. But we are saying that if you see this pair pulling down back into the 10 MA, moving down 55 pips or 60 pips today, then be careful and watch out for the next bullish entry signal. That will be a sweet point of entry, and you could be targeting the next resistance. Let's look at where that resistance will be on the weekly, okay, or the monthly. So the next resistance will be somewhere around this place, and that would be a whole lot of pips. Let's measure it and get that figure. So if we can get an entry here, that will be over 600 pips, close to 700 pips, thereabouts. So we are bullish on the GBP JPY, but we are not entering right now. We are waiting for a bullish entry signal, one of our lower time frame. Watch out for that. Right now we are seeing some form of retracement. And then the next pair we looked at is the AUD JPY, and you can see that AUD JPY is also looking like it's trending upwards. We start our analysis from the monthly time frame, and actually one of the reasons why most most base currencies against the JPY has been buying is because the Japanese economy is going through a bit of a tough time right now. They have a state of emergency in place, and the Japanese the Japanese yen is no longer looking like such a safe haven anymore. Anyway, in contrast to this base currency, the Aussie is actually doing very well against other of its crosses, and the JPY is no exception. If you see, we've seen an MA cross, a bullish MA cross on the monthly, and that's a very strong buy signal. So also again, we've seen four bullish months, four buying months for the AUD JPY. And there's something I would like you guys to see. The AUD JPY has broken this close above this trend line we have here. Okay, it has closed above this trend line. If you can look at it, you can see that it has closed above this trend line and it's still pushing higher, and that's on a monthly. So looking at it on a lower time frame, you can see that the trend, a very good trend, is beginning to form. A very good buying trend is beginning to form, and this could go on for quite a while. So we are totally bullish on AUD JPY, but we are still wary of some sort of retracement, probably today or tomorrow. So like we always advise, will not say you should enter immediately. Look out for a good entry signal. We talked about a form of retracement, and that could be 80 pips or 70 to 80 pips. So if you get caught on the wrong side of this retracement or pullback, whatever you like, you could be seeing some red. But definitely this is a buying pair. So you can step back time frame to a lower time frame, say H4 or H1, and look for an entry. So for the H1, for the H4, you can see that this pair, the AUD USD, has continued to respect the 10 MA as a dynamic support, and it looks like it might get to that place. Even today, it might get to that 10 MA. Okay, so you can actually look for an entry when this price pulls back into this 10 MA, a buy entry. Or if you want to be more conservative, watch out for that 20 MA on the H4. Once you see that, then you can take this pair for a buy, and you'll be, based on your risk to reward ratio, you'll be smiling home with some good pips. Okay, so let's look at the GBP USD. The GBP USD is another pair we look at, and the GBP USD has begun to trend upwards in the past few months. Okay, it is not a surprise, because the British pound is to show some strength after started easing off some of their lockdown measures. Okay, and on the monthly, we found a golden cross just where our 50 MA crossed with the 20 upwards, and again we can see that this pair has begun to show some strong buying pressure on the monthly time frame. Looking at it, we can see that buying pressure began when we saw a double bottom just around this point. Let me show you with my crosshair. You can see a double bottom just around this point, or you can even call it a triple bottom if you add this other low, if you bring this low into consideration. So, and this is on a monthly time frame, so you can see that the buyers are raking in a whole lot of profits on this pair. Let's head down to the weekly time frame. You can see that this uptrend looks very, very valid, and will strongly advise against shorting this pair. Okay, so if you are looking for any trading opportunity on the GBP USD, we advise that you be bullish, or you have a bearish a bullish bias, a buy bias on this. So on the daily time frame, our 10 and 20 looks like the dynamic support that has been respected for the past for the past weeks. Okay, this is for the past month actually. If you look at it from this point where you put back into the 20, okay, from this point here. So the next thing you should be asking yourself is, how do I enter this trade? Once again, we advise you not to jump in. Don't jump into this trade. Okay, what's going on? Look for a good entry signal before entering this trade for a buy. Look for a good entry signal before entering this trade for a buy. So after a strong buying pressure yesterday by the GBP pairs, we're beginning to see some sort of pullback, and one of them was seen this morning. You can see on the H4 that we saw this pullback of about, okay, let me get the measurement correct. We saw this pullback of about 32 pips to 30, okay, 40 pips. But it looks like the buying pressure is about to resume. If this candle closes as a pin bar, if this last red candle closes as a pin bar, that will be a strong entry signal for a buy. But since we are looking on this on the 4 hourly, if you feel like you want to enter this trade in the next couple of hours, look for an entry on the 1 hour time frame. Now look at what we are seeing on the 1 hour time frame. We are seeing a bullish reversal pattern here, almost an engulfing. That tells you that this pair is looking like it wants to resume its uptrend. Okay, that's a tweezer. Okay, that's a tweezer bottom, which is a strong buy signal. But I'll actually wait for this next candle that is forming to finish forming. It looks like an indecision candle anyway. So we are bullish on the GBP USD. I would like you to look for a buying entry signal. Okay, can wait for this candle to finish forming and see what you will get here. On the 4 hour, it looks like a pin bar is forming there, and that's actually a strong buy signal for you. Okay, so let's move on to the next pair we looked at, and that's the Euro USD. Okay, the Euro USD, actually we've been bullish on the Euro USD, but the Euro has suffered greatly due to the lockdown effects. So we find out that some of the Euro pairs have been falling down massively. But the Euro USD is showing us something different, in the sense that it's a long term buy trend that has been forming. But for the past 2 months, the Euro USD is showing some form of retracement. Okay, but now that retracement might be ending anytime soon, and that looks like a pin bar is beginning to form on that monthly time frame. First of all, we need to see that this pair has, okay, this pair has broken above the trend line. Okay, this pair has broken above the trend line and is now pushing upwards. Okay, Okay, this pair has broken above the trend line and is now pushing upwards. And okay, you can see that this trend has broken above. First of all, it broke above this channel and is beginning to push upward. So I just drew a trend line showing you that a new uptrend is beginning to form. So I will not advise anyone to sell the Euro USD, even though you can see some retracement, even if you find some retracement on a lower time frame. Now let's go over to the weekly. On the weekly, you can see what I was talking about, some form of pullback into this trend line we are talking about. We just drew on the monthly. But you will see a golden cross formed that just around this point here, telling you that this pair is bullish all the way. So if you are looking to enter the Euro USD, you should be looking for a buy setup. Now look at what we have on the daily. You can see an MA crossing between the 10 and 20 just around this area. And we had a pin bar that formed on Friday around this very critical support and resistance level. Okay, this around this level here. So the next move today looks like it's going to be a bullish day for the Euro USD. And if we have a daily close just above this support line, which is looking resistance line, which is looking very likely, then we would advise a buy entry for the Euro USD. If you want to get a better entry position, you can go to one of the lower time frames and look at your candlestick patterns and find a bullish entry signal. Okay, so if we get a close, a 4-hour bullish close, then I'll advise that you take this trade for, you look for you can enter this trade for a buy, but this is going to be quite a long-term buy, because the euro is going to begin to do well in the coming months, especially when the lockdown get eased. Okay, so the next pair we looked at was the USD JPY. The USD JPY. Okay, let me look for it. The USD JPY. Okay, it's not on this. Okay, here it is. The USD JPY. Okay. Okay, so the USD JPY is telling us some interesting stories. Let's zoom out on this chart on the monthly time frame. Okay, on the monthly time frame, if you've been following the USD JPY for a while, the USD JPY has been selling massively, and we saw something like we later saw something like a falling wedge. Okay, we saw something like a falling wedge just around this area, which was actually a good buy signal for us, and it gave us the impression that the sell-off of the USD JPY has begun to end. And if you move over to one of the smaller time frames, you notice that an uptrend is beginning to form a swing failure actually is beginning to form on the USD JPY. Okay, a swing failure is beginning to form on the USD JPY. So, and then we also got another confirmation on that weekly. We saw an MA cross, just on the weekly time frame, where we have the 10 MA crossing the 20 MA upward. Okay, those that actually entered that trade earlier would have made some good profit, although we saw some retracement last week where it looked like the selling pressure was about the sellers were about to take over the market. Okay, but the buyers for USD JPY is bullish. And why do I say that? I mentioned earlier that if you go fundamentally, the USD, the JPY economy is suffering terribly because of the state of emergency in that country. And the USD is looking out for a stimulus package that will be signed into law very soon by US new President Joe Biden. So it's not surprising to see the USD begin to pick up some strength against the Japanese yen. So our buyers for the USD JPY is a bullish bias. Okay, and we'll have some key levels to look out for. The 105 points. Okay, let's move over to the daily time frame, and then we can see that this pair, when you go to this resistance, there was a sort of reaction, and we saw that pullback into the 20 MA before it began to go back up. So if you want to enter this trade, you look out for a close above this particular resistance at the 105.7 or 105.8 thereabouts. Okay, if you find a close above this resistance line, then a bullish close above this resistance line, then you should actually look for a buy entry, or you can enter that trade for a buy, because the uptrend, the swing failure has happened. We are beginning to see some lower highs or higher lows, actually some higher lows. You can see one here, and these higher lows indicate that this downtrend has failed. The swing has failed for the downtrend, and an uptrend is beginning to resume. So look out for a buy entry, but don't enter immediately. Patience is key in the forex market. Make sure you find your entry, understand the trend before you take any entry. Okay, we also looked at the Euro NZD. The Euro NZD, and the Euro NZD is an interesting pair because we are pairing a weak economy versus a very strong economy. And which weak economy are we talking about here? The euro has suffered, like I said, terribly because of the COVID-19, and they've been in lockdown. Top European economies like Germany, France, England, Spain, they've been in lockdown, and that has actually told on a strong euro sell. Sellers has taken over the euro. Now, compared to the NZD, the New Zealand dollar, NZD is actually one of the strongest economies right now in the whole world, because they've not really been affected by the coronavirus. So that's some fundamentals for you. But looking at on the technical side, you can see that we can see something like a head and shoulders pattern forming on the monthly time frame just around this area. Okay, and that tells you that the Euro NZD might still sell for quite some time. Although right now it's on the monthly, its price has actually reached a support, but our MA lines is still telling us that this pair is still going to sell for a while, because we've seen an MA crossing, just a 10 and 20 crossing on a monthly, and that's a strong sell pointer. Now moving over to the weekly, we see a dead cross where the 200 is crossing with the okay, this is not actually a dead cross, but it's actually a powerful cross, because this is just a 210. But all in all, this is actually a selling market, and this is a sell trend, and you don't want to be caught buying this market on the wrong side of this market. You might actually see some red. So how do we enter? Having established that we have a selling bias or a bearish bias on the Euro NZD, you can head over to a lower time frame to look for a sell setup. And right now on the daily, you can see that we've had, after a pin bar that formed on Friday, we've had two strong selling. Okay, today it has been selling downward. It has been selling seriously today, and we don't know where that selling could end. Okay, let me give you, it might sell down to this point. It might likely sell down to this point where I'm putting the support line. Beyond that point. Okay, let's look at it on a 4 hourly. Okay, so actually that is not a small number of pips. Okay, down to this place where price reacted. This place we have something that looks like a double bottom. It's actually a double bottom. You can see, looks like a double bottom, and that this price could sell, this market could sell down to this support zone. So how many pips can someone look out for? Can be looking out for roughly 50 pips thereabouts before you be looking out to get out of this market. Okay, but you have to watch out for an entry signal. An entry signal for this will be a bearish candle found on a smaller time frame. You're already on a 4 hour, so look out for a bearish close. If I can see this long candle close bearish, I will enter this trade for a sell and target 50 pips or thereabout. A position trader can actually target more because on trade their stop loss on this market. So we are bearish on the Euro NZD. Look for a sell signal. I'll be telling you if you can wait for the next 4 hours for this long red candle to close, this red candle, then look for a sell signal, and then you can set your stop loss a little bit above this resistance here. Okay, so we also looked at gold, XAU USD. Let me get it out for XAU USD. Okay, and gold is a very interesting pair because it's actually one of the most volatile pairs you can trade, and we've been seeing some interesting chart setup on the gold, and it's quite surprising that despite the weakness we've seen in the USD, in the United States dollar, gold continues to sell. Normally when the US dollar becomes weak, you find out that gold begins to buy, but the dollar has been weakening for the past 2 weeks, but gold has continued to sell, which is interesting. Some analysts are saying that it is because of the mad rush for Bitcoin. People are abandoning gold as a safe haven and rushing over to buy Bitcoin, okay, which can be explained with the selling pressure we've been seeing in gold. But that's just some fundamentals. On the technical side of things, you can see, let's go to a higher time frame. You can see that despite the selling we've seen in gold is still bullish. You can see that this bullish flag is still holding on the monthly time frame. Okay, this bullish flag is still holding on the monthly time frame. That tells you that although gold might sell for some pips, it might even sell down to the support of this flag, which is almost 800 pips. Gold is still going to buy in the long term, but on the short term, we know that it will be very, very wrong to buy gold at this moment. It might be caught on the wrong side of the market. If you decide to buy gold can drag you down quickly. So because of the conflicting signals we are getting on the monthly and the lower time frame, we decided to watch gold for the meantime. So we are undecisive on gold. Okay, so finally, the last pair we looked at was the AUD USD, which is the Aussie dollar. Okay, let me get out the chart. Aussie dollar. Okay, it's one of the forex major pairs. So let's look at the Aussie dollar. Okay, like we normally do, we always start our analysis with a bigger picture. Looking at a bigger picture of this Aussie dollar on the monthly time frame, you can see that after this low that formed somewhere here, where my crosshair is, the Aussie has been doing a very good uptrend. Although we had a pullback a few months ago, that was in January. Okay, no, that was last year towards September. We had a pullback into the 20 MA, but right now the uptrend has resumed. Although we are seeing a form of retracement as high as the monthly time frame, but that does not change our bias on the Aussie dollar. The Aussie dollar is a trending market that is most likely going to buy for a very long time. So our analysis tells us that with the dead cross we saw, with the golden cross we saw on the weekly, we are not going to be selling this pair. We are going to be looking for a a a, a bullish entry or a buy entry on this. Although we've seen a pullback, okay, we've seen a pullback on weekly. We've seen a pullback into the 10 MA. So that tells us that we should be getting ready to press our buy, but we can't do that immediately. We have to look for a sweet entry when we get a bullish close in one of our lower time frame, or a bullish entry signal. Okay, on the daily you can see what happened. That pullback came as far as the 50 MA. Okay, but even on that same daily we have gotten our bullish cross of the 10 and 20, and it's heading upwards. So this pair is going to buy for a long while, and what you need to look for is a bullish entry. Okay, on Friday, people that saw this pin bar, people that saw this particular pin bar and entered it for a buy would have been in some good profit. But you can also wait. You can wait and look for. You can wait and look for a. Okay, wait and look for a. What's the chart like that? Okay, you can wait and look for a pullback. A pullback is actually something you should look out for. A pullback into this 10 MA will signify that the uptrend is about to continue. So this 10 MA will be a key zone. Okay, and if you look at it very well, you see that this price is actually in a sort of support and resistance zone. Okay, so if it breaks it down and hits this 10 MA, then you should find a bullish entry signal, probably one of your bullish reversal patterns, candlestick patterns, a bullish pin bar like this one that is here, or a bullish engulfing. Okay, so that is it for our analysis this week. I hope you make some pips. Once again, I give special thanks to our analysts in the house and our regular presenter, Mr. Apan, and the other analysts. Okay, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.